Kyle, good race today, beaten by 2 millimetres in a sprint finish. Still the second best ranked coach athlete on the day.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, no one's going to compete with Taylor then, right? Like, she's just a class of her own. She must be the best athlete in the world right now. She's incredible. Yeah, like, honestly, like, I thought, if you told me before the race she'd get beat by a couple of millimetres, I think, it's probably going to haunt me for a while, but look, I gave that sprint everything I had. Like, as you saw, my body went flooring and water. And the bit I made months, and I end up and so I was super happy with that. And yeah, it was like a really good performance and good progression.
Do you think that to some people it'll be, where did Kyle Smith come from? How is he now suddenly one of the best middle course athletes in the world?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've always said it for a long time, like trying to push it suffers from kind of short-term memory loss, and that's fine. Like, obviously I've known, I guess, my talents for a while now, since I guess I first came to this in 2019, and winning on debut. I've honestly had a pretty rough couple of years. And so, I've been nowhere for the past 18 months, but in that time it's also been like glimmers of hope. So just been races that I've shown that I can be at the top. But honestly, I just had to get my health back on track, and you're nothing in this sport without your health. You can't, there's the saying, you can't fly a cannon from a kayak. I was definitely a kayak for a few years.
Kyle the kayak. Marten Van Riel, his first T100 race, wins it. Probably the most iconic sprint finish in modern course history. Pretty good way to start. Talk to me about your battle with him today.
Yeah, we were pretty lockstep the whole day. I'm pretty sure we came out of the water pretty close together. That we left T1 together. We rode, me, Marten and Rico rode together those first couple of laps, and before the big group caught us. Then it's no surprise, honestly. Like, obviously, he's had the fastest fastest race performance in history. You don't do that. It's not a fluke. He's obviously an incredible athlete. He shows that over the short distance stuff, and he was the one to watch here this weekend. And so it's no surprise that we went toe to toe, but I still think that I'm not at my best just yet, and I really thought that I had those guys on the ropes at points today, so it's really promising for me going forward. And I like to see Jan as sort of big brother to me, and also sort of a mentor. And he said in Singapore, it's just step by step. You've come back from pretty crap a couple of years. So, he said in Singapore, a top 5 would be great here. And then the next one, you try to go for the podium, and then make it the hardest step before you go for the win. And so, he's pretty Oracle-like in that, but flipping Singapore and podium here. So, it's just step by step, and just trying to, keep progressing on all of this.
You mentioned then that you, Marten and Rico, you guys went off the front of the bike, and there was a 30-second gap to Matthias Margier, Mika Nu, the chase for Ballast around it was about 8 athletes at one stage. It was quite big. And then Matthias and Clement Mignon did the work to get back up to you, and then Sam Loll got there, and then Magnus got there, and Mika got there, and you became a big group. But then it was you, Rico, and Marten, the original people who had gone off the front, done all the work, only to get caught back up, who went off the front again on the run. Do you think that you boys getting off the front of the bike early was indicative that you were the fittest and most well-conditioned athletes in the field, and that's why you were the 3 that ultimately fought it out for the win?
Well, yeah, I guess we were 3 strongest guys on the day today, and obviously that showed. A course like this actually obviously suits more like a runner. It's like a hilly bike. It's kind of power to weight, which is what running is as well. And I knew that Marten was going to take it out super aggressively, and he went up that first climb, and we all went up there pretty hot and made that gap happen pretty quickly. But I also think that all 3 of us back are running too. So Rico looked over at me, I think lap 4 or lap 5, and he said, "Oh, the chasers are coming," and I was like, "Mate, let them come. Like, we're working hard. They've had to get across to us, which means they've had to work even harder. And, we can all, all 3 of us have had great run performances on our day." So I think that was probably just maybe front-loading the bike, but obviously going easier the second half of the bike also set us up for a good run as well.
Do you think of yourself as a runner?
I grew up being a runner, so, when I was a kid and through my teens, it was always my run that I could back. And then, just through, I guess, adolescence and just putting on a bit more muscle and a few injuries. And like I was saying, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but my sickness, the run is probably the one that if you're not on it, then that's the one you struggle the most with. That's the one where it makes the biggest difference. And, my swimming came up, and I always say that triathlon's a bit like a weighing scale. So, my swimming came up, but my running went down, and I just had to get back to where I knew I was capable of in my run form. And honestly, I've worked obviously hard for years, and basically my whole life on it, but especially in the last 6 months now, with just having training consistency, and it's no secret. Like, if you want to be that good at these performances and at these races, you just have to be consistent and putting in the hard work week in, week out for months on end.
Are you coming to London for the next race?
Oh, I have to ask these guys if they're going to give me a wild card, I'm pretty sure, hopefully my performance today put me in, a good opportunity to get a wild card in London. And obviously we'll have to see what happens with the contracted athletes and see, how many spaces are up for a wild card. But I'm optimistic. If I get the call up, I'll be there.
Do you think right now as it stands that there's as much prestige to win a T100 race as there is an Ironman 70.3 race or an Ironman 70.3 World Championships?
I think, we're working, this is the biggest race series on the planet right now, and it's 20 of the best athletes of the world. And, I was saying earlier, I didn't get a contract, and I really feel like I didn't deserve one, because although I believe that I belong in this series, I just wasn't good enough last year to deserve one. So, there's 20 of the best athletes in the world assembled, and that's what triathlon is. It's it doesn't matter what the title of the race is. If you meet that caliber of athlete day in, day out, or for a whole season, which we haven't ever seen before, and I think that was what brings the prestige. And obviously this series is assembling the best athletes in the world, and that's bringing the prestige.
You started the run in the way you always start the run in T100 races. You did it at the European Open, where you got 5k in and things sort of fell apart. And me and Jan, we've talked about this, and we were watching it, and you ran the first K in 2:40 something, and we were like, oh, no, surely not again. Except this time when Marten came up to you, you didn't let him go, and in fact, you took the front shoulder and you led the rest of the run. Did you go out too hard? Was the run easy for you? Talk to me about it.
Yeah, well, I took the run out aggressively. I did the same with Samarin. I know I've been running really well, so I took it out super aggressively, but it was all within my control. I didn't feel like I was sprinting out of transition to get a gap. I felt really good, and I wasn't breathing super hard. I was feeling, pretty good, but I also felt like there was a lot of damage done on the bike for me, but also obviously for everyone in the field. And when I got to the turnaround and I saw I had 15-second gap, it was nice. And then obviously I dropped the cup, and I wasn't sure if we had the rules, so we had to put the litter in the bin. I wasn't sure, and I was like, I'm not going to waste, this is probably going to be the best result of my career. I'm not going to waste out on a DQ because I didn't put the cup in the bin. So I went back and put the cup in the bin, and obviously then Marten, I saw the gap, and Marten then ran up to me. But I was working hard, but I think Marten had to work really hard to get up to me, and he sat behind me for that next lap. And, I just think that he spent a lot to try and get up to me, and the same with Rico too. Rico closed that gap on the second lap, and I was like, we weren't running easy, so he had to put a big effort to close it, and fair enough to him, really. And then from that point, I think we had a minute gap on the rest of the field, and we were, it was going to be a race between the three of us if, nothing happened. So we just kept looking at each other, and as you saw on the TV, it became quite tactical in the end, and especially with the wind, no one wanted to take the front, and it became almost like a pedestrian sort of lap and a half there until the last K, because I think we all looked at each other and saw it's going to be a sprint finish. So all of us tried to make our move, and we all covered each other, and it was kind of like a stalemate for most of that. And I knew that it would come down to the last throw of the dice, really.
2 questions about the finish. Have you watched it back yet? And what did you make of your vomit?
Yeah, that vomit was coming for a long time. I got to the aid station, I felt it brewing, and obviously we were going too hard to get it out. And I just was hoping that it'd stay down. I didn't want it to come up sort of halfway down the finish straight, and then then you're running super slow. But like I said before, I gave everything I had in the sprint, and it was super close, but essentially the best guy won. So. And as I showed with the vomit, I gave it everything I had and really put it all out there. So, I'm proud of my performance.
Kyle, well done. We're going to wrap it up with something that me and you have been doing. Give each other a would you rather. Mine for you is, would you rather win your first T100 race in the way that Taylor Knibb did today, a dominant display off the front all day, or in the way that Marten Van Riel did, a head-to-head battle for the whole run, the whole ride, and finished in a 2 mm sprint finish?
I think from an excitement point of view and I guess a satisfaction point of view, because you've had to overcome so much, probably the way Marten does it today, and when it's so on the line, it's so tight, it's neck and neck the whole way, and it's maybe going to be one of the races that's talked about for a lot of years. So, but if you told me before the race, would you rather sort of be cruising out front all day by yourself? I'd much take that. But I think Marten's obviously to win that the way he did. It's hats off to him.
And what's yours for me?
Would you rather have? I don't even know. Would you rather have nobody race for 6 months, but everybody comes together on one day, or it's just one day, like an Olympic Games for long distance? Or would you rather have what it's like this year, lots of consistently good racing, people racing Kona, people racing whatever?
I believe. Oh. I'd take, so let's say one race a month, like we've sort of got right now. We've got 8 to 10 of them. I'd take that every day over one big one for one in the first 6 months, one in the second 6 months. Look at the racing we saw today out in Singapore, and Miami to a lesser extent, but Singapore in this particularly, you're not going to get better races than that, even if you have everyone, I reckon. So we essentially got that. So I'd take this. I'd take a race every month.
Yeah, me too.
Kyle, well done. Great performance.
Cheers, dude.
Killed it.